गोदरेज कैपिटल के लैंडिंग बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए सेल्सफोर्स एआई आधारित प्रक्रियाओं को आगे बढ़ाएगा। गोदरेज कैपिटल और सेल्सफोर्स ने रणनीतिक साझेदारी की घोषणा की है। मुंबई, 4 जुलाई 2025। गोदरेज इंडस्ट्रीज ग्रुप की वित्तीय सेवा शाखा गोदरेज कैपिटल और दुनिया नंबर 1 एआई-स आरएम कंपनी सेल्सफोर्स ने आज एक रणनीतिक साझेदारी की घोषणा की है। इस सहयोग का उद्देश्य गोदरेज कैपिटल की सहायक कंपनियों को डिजिटल लोन प्रणाली को और बेहतर बनाना और पूरे भारत में बेहतर ग्राहक अनुभव प्रदान करना है। इस पहल के लिए डेलॉयट इंडिया को टेक्नोलॉजी पार्टनर के रूप में शामिल किया गया है, जो सेल्सफोर्स के उन्नत प्लेटफॉर्म्स को गोदरेज कैपिटल की लोन व्यवस्था में तेजी से और आसानी से जोड़ने में मदद करेगा। गोदरेज कैपिटल हमेशा से नए इनोवेशन और जनरेटिव एआई आधारित तकनीकों को अपनाने में आगे रहा है। गोदरेज कैपिटल ने इस साझेदारी के माध्यम से एक भविष्य के लिए तैयार, डिजिटल रूप से मजबूत लोन व्यवस्था बनाने की साझा सोच को साकार किया है।
Let me try part one of it. I think firstly, great timing for this event because we are going live fully all India this month in one of our businesses, and like in everything you go step by step. If I'm not mistaken, I think we started our conversations over the last 6 months, but the bulk of the work has happened in the last 3 to 4 months where, right from the start. And I think from our lens, the reason for taking the initial investment was to, not so much the implementation, very often that's the easier part, but making sure that this is not just an opportunity for us to simply say, let us change our loan origination system or let us do our front end differently. It's a great opportunity for us to say, thoda re-engineer karte hain as far as the customer experience is concerned, right from the time whether you are a new customer wanting to become one with us as a loan originator, or you're an existing customer that we can serve you better. So this is touching all of these points.
And what were the challenges that you faced? Because people resist change, and then there's the job market also. Some people will be willing to learn, upskill themselves, but some may not. So how does it affect the workforce? Did you have to lay off some people, and were they scared of this AI thing? And how did they react to it when they first came to know about it? How many adopted it, and what were the challenges that you really faced in getting it?
So again, staying with that, thankfully we have, part one of the problem statement jo aap keh rahe ho, that's not an issue, because this is not about, this is the promise of, this is not about we can do without you. The promise is we can take a lot of the needless work that you do. So I'll give you a couple of examples where this helps, and it's still work in progress. So everything needs a little bit of work if you're used to any system. I mean, if you're used to a certain newspaper also, if your newspaper changes, it takes a week to figure out which story is where. So I think we haven't had much resistance on this because there is a clear why as an organization we are doing this is clear to everyone. In fact, it has a lot of support. If you turn behind, you'll see in the room we have most of the key people in our company that have led the project teams. And the reason for not having the resistance is very clearly the team is involved in why are we doing this. I'll give you a few examples of what is the intended benefit. Today, you often have to look at 4 different places to access data for a customer. Suppose you applied for a loan. The bureau score comes from somewhere, some other thing comes from one system, 4 places. You have to toggle between 4 screens. So it will take you, let's say, if it takes you an hour to go, to complete an application, just all of the screens, we should now take 15 minutes or thereabouts. We should basically be able to cut it by 1/4. And it's your personal labor that's going to go down. So in summary, I think we have actually a lot of optimism. The greater challenge is for us. That's why as a team we are always chewing the brains of the teams at Salesforce and Deloitte saying, hurry up please, jaldi karo, can we do it faster? I think the anticipation is we can make lives much easier. That said, like every system, it needs for us as management, and it's a lesson, I guess, in anyone executing anything large at a time, where why we are doing it is clear to everyone. goals are measurable, that every month we should see progress. And I think at the heart of it, that assurance that this is to enhance your productivity. And as we grow, you should be able to do more with less as a person. And last but not least, it is an important move forward. So, make the adjustments that you do need to make so that we can get ready for it.
It's a thing that the time has come about the technology. Yes, ma'am.
No, I just wanted to add on to this question, and I know this is a question that frequently comes. Is AI coming for your job? Okay, it's a question that frequently comes, and I think we need to address the elephant in the room in respect of that. First and foremost, let me tell you, AI is a blessing for a country like India, because India has a very large population, and you cannot give the services that our citizens deserve if you don't use technology. You just cannot give it. Look at the kind of pedagogy that it goes on in the village schools. Do they have the right kind of stuff to study? Look at the kind of health services that is available in remote areas. Are you able to give the right kind of health services without technology? Look at even financial inclusion, like he said. 14 years from before Jan Dhan Yojana, I know how much hard we tried to bring about financial inclusion. It wasn't possible till technology came and made it possible. It's separate that Jan Dhan Yojana was run like a project, monitored like a project, so we could get it done in as little or less as 7 months. That's a separate issue. But if the enablers of technology had not been there, no way we could have done. The main enabler of a bank account is what? It's know your customer, KYC. I need to know that you are you. That Arundhati Bhattacharya is only me, not another Arundhati Bhattacharya, not an A Bhattacharya, not a Arundhati B. It is only me. And how do you do that? With biometrics, because those cannot be replicated. So the fact that we are able to establish who you are is what enabled us to open all of those banking accounts. Okay? Once the bank account opens, what happens? You also put in other systems in order to enable digital payments. So the fellow who's a panwala at the corner, he has a QR code. You take a pan, you pay with the QR code, don't need to use cash. What happens to that? That panwala is now able to establish that he's making 10,000 a month. The moment he's able to establish that, because this money is flowing to his bank account, some NBFC or bank becomes interested in giving him a loan, which he was in any case taking, but from somebody who was charging a usurious rate of interest. So his margin was going towards paying interest. Instead of that, he gets it from the organized system at a much lower interest rate. And interest rate can be as much as 120% or 360% also. It can be tremendously high. Okay, on a daily basis you give interest. Here you are getting it at 6, 7, 8%. What happens then? His margin remains with him. He is able to make his shop bigger. He is able to help his son set up another shop. So actually speaking, the standards of living go up. So was this technology a bad thing or a good thing? Did it create more jobs or did it create less jobs? There are so many unfulfilled requirements that we have. We cannot fulfill those requirements if we don't use technology. So the nature of jobs will change. Like he said, horses were being bred in order to draw carts. Today, horses are being bred in order to teach people riding. And riding, by the way, is one of the best exercises that you can have. The first time if you have ever ridden a horse, you will pain in places you didn't know exist. Okay, so it's really exercising you if you go for that. So that horses are being trained for that. Horses are being trained for entertainment, for races, for becoming pets, for various things. Okay, so the jobs also change. The nature of the jobs change. When you bring in technology, you unlock efficiency, you unlock unmet demands. Those demands then go on to create jobs. So there is no doubt of it that the nature of jobs will change. Will there be less jobs? I don't believe so. Will our standards of living go down? I don't believe so. Every single industrial revolution has posed the same question. When actually the first train chugged across the horizon for people, people said all our jobs are gone. Okay? Has it really gone? It hasn't gone. In every which way it has improved. Every way that you think possible it's much, much better. There was a time, by the way, in State Bank of India, and I was in foreign department there, when we used to reconcile what is called master accounts and vostro accounts. These are accounts that are created for currencies, okay? So I couldn't have a dollar account here. I have a dollar account, and the mirror of that is called a vostro account, which I have over here. So I just reconcile the nominal entries that come in over there against the entries, actual entries that are happening there. So I have a shadow thing to make sure that I'm getting everything. We used to have in foreign department something called a TIC 20 brigade. TIC 20 was, by the way, at that point of time a pesticide. But we used to call it that because we used to sit with 20 colored pencils. So sitting on red pencil. This is my account, this is their account, and I tick it off. Okay, so Bank of America, blue pencil. Some other bank, Bank of Mitsubishi, green pencil, whatever it is. So they used to sit with these pencils and do it. What was the end result? Hundreds and hundreds of unreconciled entries. The first time I got into technology is when I implemented the platform for reconciling these. It was a platform, IT platform, that reconciled automatically and only threw up the exceptions. Now you might say, why is reconciliation so difficult? There are lots of reasons. I might put a reference number, they might put something else. I might have asked for $100, they may have sent me only 95 after cutting their charges. Very difficult to reconcile one with the other. But a platform enables them to look at all the parameters and find the right ones and tick it off. Now that was possible only because we brought in technology. So to be afraid of technology that it's about to take my job is a very, very limited point of view. It's a very nearsighted point of view. Does transition cause pain? Yes, it does. I'm not saying it doesn't. People really need to think of other things that they can do. But at the end of the day, this is something that's going to benefit all of us. We need to lean into this instead of resisting it. It's like a wave. You resist it, it will overcome you. You lean into it, you ride on the wave. That's what we need to do. So I want to put this question to the rest, that it's coming for my job, what the hell will I do? There will be other jobs for you to do. And you will be able to fulfill your potential much more in what you are going to do, because it's going to interest you more, and that's why you have taken it time.
Thank
So
you.
let me answer the first piece, and you can take the details. See, the first thing you have to understand is that if you start with ROI, it's very difficult to then proceed. You should start with qualitative parameters first. The ROI will automatically follow. A lot, what should I say, a really scholarly person once told me when I got into the bank that do the right things, don't look at your market share price. The share price will follow if you're doing the right things. Okay? So the fact of the matter is, investments or returns, which should come first? It's a chicken and egg problem. Okay? You have to decide what you need to do. But again, as I said, this is something that every individual organization needs to answer for itself. Is this the time or is it not? Why are we doing this? This is not the first partnership. We have a number of partnerships in India. But we believe that Godrej is a bellwether group. It's a legacy group, and we want to showcase that even a legacy group has really and truly come forward with this. So we want to show that, groups like Godrej that have been household words, ever since we were children. One of the first things we realized was the Godrej Almira, which remains the way it is, by the way. Okay, and then came various other things from Godrej, from the house of Godrej. They also have evolved in whatever they are doing. And, partnering with a legacy conglomerate like them, who are on a journey to the new future, is, I think, very good. And one of the reasons is we wanted to come together on this platform because we feel that this is something that sort of, indicates that yes, this is something that's necessary. Even a group, established group like Godrej, they could have just, sat on what they have, the legacy they have, but they refuse to do that, and that's why they continue to be relevant. Because they are doing that, they continue to be relevant. So that's that piece of it. Regarding how he talked about the milestone and the stuff, definitely, Manish, you should answer that. And maybe on the milestone piece, you can also add management.
Yeah, so I think the The ROI question is a tough one, and I'm going to try and answer it slightly differently. The second question, which is just what would we be doing before this? Actually, we already had started with Salesforce CRM, so it's not replacing it, it's adding to it. On the ROI, we are looking at it like, you look at it reverse. From where we are today, our ambition is to go 4 times in our scale, in our presence, in our AUM and in our profits. There is no way in the world actually we are going to get there without the kind of investments that we need to make in people, in tech, and this is a flagship, or this is a big part of the investments we want to make. So it's not so much कि इस पे 20% है या 50 है. I think the way we view it is, if we don't take steps like these, and we don't give us a chance to get to where we think we deserve to go and do justice to the to the platform that Godrej has given us, it will be a failure. And I think just an added piece to that is, again, from our customer expectation. See, what happens is that everyone in this room knows the brand. Not everyone is an existing customer. In many cases, you're just getting to know that we're part of financial services. And for us, we have to get this mix right, which is, and we joke internally that legacy where it matters, as far as trust and customer faith is concerned, and no legacy where you don't need it, especially when it comes to legacy tech. Or we were quite fortunate not to have to make, not to move away from any mainframes to these. So I think for us, the entire view on how we view this investment is what happens if we don't make it. And today, just what's happened. So for example, you are a customer of various platforms, right? Imagine, is it acceptable to you today that you call and said that the last time I called, now you don't have a record, or some new person has come, my line dropped when I was on the road. Again, I have to start with you have got no record of the conversation we had. Now, that's not a small problem. That's that's quite a disastrous customer experience. Now, only one part of that is that I shouldn't have to repeat myself. The second is that every interaction that I have with you hopefully should keep getting better. That you've learned more about me. You've learned more about the challenges or the opportunities people like me have with companies like you. So all of this, I'm sorry, the easier answer would have been 42%. But I have no way of giving you that answer. What I know is certainly what we won't get if we don't take steps like this.
And I guess we in the last few years as a society has moved from going and shopping to getting home delivery to quick commerce today, right? So the expectation of a consumer has changed from having to wait for some time to quick, right? So and the more you enable quick, and that quick could be different for different industries, but all I'm saying is the more you enable quick, the better the experience you give to your potential customers, and hence they end up becoming your customers. So I think that is something that you really cannot put a dollar on. It's the experience, and that actually adds to your dollar eventually, because that's how you kind of grow. Right? So.
Hello, hi. I stood up because I wanted to be seen, and I see you guys as well. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mukbil. I represent the Economic Times ETCIM, and the first is a remark. I certainly don't think Godrej Capital classifies as legacy. We are a very new age company. My question is in the context of a very recent report which has come out from Gartner. It's very recent. It says that 40% of AI and agentic AI-driven projects would be scrapped by 2027. Any opinions, any thoughts on that? Because I see AI written boldly.
Even before she takes a crack at it, I hope we are in the 60%. I hope we will.
So, which is why I said, you have to be very careful about the use cases that you take. You have 15 requirements. You need to prioritize which ones are the ones that will make a real difference to your customers and to your goals. Okay? Once you have got those two use cases, you will surely be in the 60%. But if you start doing everything, means AI is not a magic wand. You wave it and everything starts happening. It's not like that. Neither is it something to be scared of. It's neither of the two. But you need to work at it and you need to get there. But if you work at it properly and if you do it for the right purposes, you will 100% be that 60%. Now, a 40-60 ratio, is it worth taking a risk on? If you do it with a proper understanding, it is. If you do it without understanding, it won't be. And that is true in any new case. Any new case you see, any new things that come up, some things succeed, some things don't. If you remember the dot-com bust, at that point of time, like everybody was going dot-com. And then what happened? The pendulum swung to the other end. Everything busted. And then what happened? Slowly, it crept up in you. Today, like he says, it's the quick word. There is nowhere, no company that doesn't have its own website and doesn't sell offline. Okay? So the thing is like this, you have to allow things to mature, you have to be thoughtful about it, you have to be strategic about it, and then you go ahead. So therefore, it does need, a lot of planning, a lot of understanding of what it can do and what it can do well. Like he said, if I'm able to improve my conversation quality every time I get that person, or that person gives me a call and then wants to continue the conversation at the counter, or wants to do the conversation now with the chatbot, that particular piece of conversation he's already done should be available to all the rest, so that he doesn't have to repeat himself. What does it do? It improves the customer's confidence in you. It enables the customer to see you as a person who's recognizing the customer as customer A. And the third thing it does is it saves time. So the persons having the conversations are actually saving time. That time then goes into another conversation, which otherwise they would not have been able to do. So you have to understand what are the use cases in your organization that is most suitable and will give you most mileage. And if you do that, that's fine. And if you don't do it thoughtfully enough, then yes, it might fail. But believe me, failure teaches you better lessons than success sometimes does. All of us had to have moments of failure in our lives. Otherwise, we won't be where we are. Now, have we allowed that to get us down? No. We have learnt our lessons and stood up again and gone ahead and just made sure that we don't make the same mistake. So failures will happen. It happens in every process. That doesn't mean that you give up on it.
Yeah, I guess, good. I guess anybody would take a 50-50% chance, right? So 60-40 is still a better number, right? 60-40 is still a better number. I think, when a new technology comes through, everybody is exploring, right? This is the phase of exploration with AI. And like ma'am said, use cases have to define, the right use cases is what will prevail. But even when you build the use cases, you also go through a journey of experimentation, right? First you build use cases which are very mono agent or single agent use cases, right? Then you realize, oh, if I have a single agent use case, why am I not building a multi-agent use case? Right? So then you go ahead and build that. So then what happens? You obviously are going to scrap the single agent use case that you built, right? So it doesn't mean that this didn't add value to you. No, probably for the time it was there, it did, right? Or maybe it was a failure, right? But this is the exploration phase, and I think it's you will see that that some will be successful, some won't be. But like I said earlier, 50-50 is a good chance, so why not 60-40?
Do you think it's the result of a hype cycle?
It is more of an exploration, I think. Let's not call it a hype, because there is definitely value in it. All of us use it in our day-to-day. I mean, most of us in this room would be using ChatGPT for something or the other. There is value in it, right? The question is how much will be determined by what you are trying to achieve, right? We will explore it, and over a period of time it will mature as a technology is.
And we're going through this at the group across the different companies, and one of the things I'm reminded of when you ask this question is, among my favorite movie lines is to distinguish between a miracle and a magic trick. And at the same time, at the heart of it, tech can do all of it. So on the one hand, when you can cut a customer time by half or more, and whether it's time, accuracy, when you can make that stuff happen, that's much more in the miracle territory. At the same time, a couple of us are sitting around saying, "Thoda try karte hain how this works," and it says that on my anniversary, write me a great poem for my wife. It looks really nicely written, only until you figure out that the next 3 poems for the next 3 guys' wives also look very similar. It just replaced my wife's name with someone else, 3 adjectives changed. So is that great tech at work? I think that's a magic trick. I think the miracle is when real outcomes change. So I'd say that for all of us from a corporation lens, first and foremost, if we can change our odds of success closer to 80-20, if not 90-10, and then take that shot, we'd be much better off.
Thank you.
Namaskar ma'am, sir. Sujata here from Mr. News. So everybody, almost majority of us are thinking they are having this one question of in their mind, like you talked about Godrej being the legacy. So you are already done with Tata. Next is Godrej. Third is going to be Reliance.
Before we actually do something, there's no way that I'm talking about it. But yes, with the Tata Group also, we do a lot of work. Regarding who will be our prospective customers, I don't know. And second thing is, before I use a prospective customer or even a customer that is already there, I need clearance from them. So, those are questions that I'm sorry, we can't comment on.
It's everybody's thinking about because you talk about Tata, Godrej, and legacy, they are the brand.
So, let's see. Because frankly speaking, Reliance uses a huge amount of money. But that doesn't mean it should be only us. It could be anybody. It could be their home. So the fact of the matter is, we can't comment on the question that you asked.
Ma'am, are you planning any financial literacy programs in the Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities?
So actually speaking, if you ask me, the financial literacy program falls under a VTO, which is a volunteer, officers program. Yeah. So there are 2 areas where we do a lot of VTO. One is in the area of education, and another is in the area of climate change. So yes, we do a lot of work there. There are organizations there that are looking at financial literacy, different kinds of literacy, skilling for work. So as you know, we have made $10 million of grants. Many of our people actually spend weekends going out and doing these things. But if you ask me specifically financial literacy, no, we work across all of literacy programs.
Thank you. And sir, what will be the shortest turnaround time from the point I approach you for a home loan?
Today.
Yeah.
If we have
after
this,
a month, once you...
No. If we are having this conversation right now, and your application starts now,
Sure.
then before you go to bed tonight, you should have the decision from us. We already do it, but can we do it? So, can we say yes to you by the end of the day today? We already do. And down the road, can we be super specific, and what we love to be able to do is not just decision, but send the money over to the developer you're buying the house from. Our part, the loan side of it. As long as you've done your part of it, the same day is what we aspire to be, even as far as getting the money across is concerned.
Only remember all your documents are there.
Yes, sure.
Great.